Hello everyone and welcome to Sinful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the grey. Today's video we're going to do a Black Library review, and today we're checking out a Warhammer Age of Sigmar story called Godeater's Son by Noah van Nguyen. I hope I pronounced your name correct there, Noah. I apologise if I haven't. Now, as always, I like to listen to the audiobooks when I'm hobbying, when I'm doing some other work around the house or whatever, and this one is narrated by Timothy Watson, who I think did a really great job at bringing the characters to life. And so, with that said, let's talk about the story. So, the story. Heldenafall dreams of a world without gods. When the Azerites descend upon the Burning Valley, a kingdom carved from the Axian desert, they brought arrogance and cruelty with their riches, and a god who seemed blind to all. Despite harrowing losses, Held clung to his people's ways, forging a new existence without a single prayer to the armoured deity Sigmar. Now all Held wants is solitude, but after saving a Sigmarite priestess from a violent death, her troubles catch up to them, and they destroy the last of his peace. First broken, then enraged, he launches a brutal war of vengeance against Sigmar's worshippers, and soon finds himself thrust against the Stormcast Eternals, led by the cunning strategist Ildred Stormsworn. Alone, he cannot hope to win, yet surrender would mean accepting the mercy of a god he despises. To defeat the Stormcast and avenge his fate, Held must embrace older, darker powers that risk the very freedom for which he fights. But when Sigmar's rulers are tyrants and the champions of chaos prove worthy, which path is the most righteous? And once this choice is made, who will Heldenafall become? And so, over the course of this story, the purpose of this whole story focuses on showing the power and the influence of the gods in the mortal realms. Heldenafall, our main character, and we'll talk about him a little bit more in a second, he is trying to be, I guess, almost atheist within the mortal realms. Like, he doesn't want to believe in gods, he doesn't want to give them his worship, he doesn't want to give them his power, but those godly beings and those gods themselves are, just so utterly real within the mortal realms. They affect everything, There is nothing that really can escape their influence within the mortal realms. But also, the story focuses on some really interesting aspects of life within the mortal realms, especially on the sort of chaos or non-Sigmar worshipping humans, showing how, they eke out an existence, showing that there is love and relationships within the Chaos Warbands. They have, encampments, they have mothers, they have, reproduction and all that happening in. They don't just recruit more Chaos people, they are a people. They have, lives, they have, loves and wants and needs and all of this, which is really fun. And it also definitely takes a look that we have seen in other books. I think Lady of Sorrows for me did this really well, showing that disparity between Azerites and Reclaimed, which are the people that have been, sort of brought back into Sigmar's fold. This story really takes a look down that road as well. And if you like that sort of look onto different things, I'd really recommend going and checking out Lady of Sorrows as well. But yeah, these three sort of main points of like, the gods are real, chaos has to actually exist, so it actually has a society to it, and the disparity between Azerites and Reclaimed. These are three really interesting parts it takes a look at. And so our main character, though, as I said, is Heldenafall. This is the character you see on the front of the picture here. Heldenafall, is a pretty simple man at the beginning of the story. He has just simple wants and needs. He just wants to carry out his life. He has his, things he cares about and his things he really doesn't care about. But it's, quite interesting to sort of see how his character progresses over the story. Now, he is, like I said, trying to almost be this atheist-style character where he doesn't believe in gods at all. He doesn't want to worship them. I guess, yeah. Is atheist the right word? Maybe not. He maybe believes, he knows they're there, but he doesn't believe in them. So does that make him atheist or maybe agnostic? I'm not sure. But either way, he wants to sort of have this, be the man to choose his own destiny, his own fate. And that's sort of what drives him through the own story, being his own self, being free. And so over the course of the story, how does this change? How does Held in the Fall change? And for me, it is realizing, the gods are going to have an influence, but it's how you choose to accept and use that influence. Do you succumb? Do you use their power against them? It really, I guess, sort of throws me back to reading the whole story of Archaon back in the, Warhammer Fantasy setting, that he is someone who uses chaos rather than chaos using them. Though, it's a little bit of both with Archaon, obviously. And that's very much the story we're getting here with Held in a Fall. Someone who realizes the power that chaos can give, but does not want to succumb, does not want to fall to chaos, and wants to use that power he can get from that force to meet his own ends. And I think over the time of the story, we definitely see Held in a Fall realize that maybe you can't be, this godless person within the realms. Maybe you have to have a patron, but does that patron really need to be a true god, or can it be, a being? And we've seen things like this most recently. Obviously, the new Warcry warbands have been revealed in the new Bloodhunt box set. We have those Hounds of Karanak coming out where they pray to, a lesser demon, not a god, but something in the realms. And we've seen this in other sort of stories, where we have people that pray to particular creatures and all of that. So it's really interesting sort of looking at this, like, gods aren't the only ones with power. You can worship something else as well. And so, what does this book do well, though? For me, a strong cast of characters is definitely a big central point of the story. Held in a Fall is someone who has a strong motivation and a very strong will to carry it out. He really sticks to his guns throughout the course of the story, which I really like. He doesn't change, he doesn't chop and change. We have this sort of character that has this purpose, has this vision, has these ideals and things, and he pretty much keeps them all the way through the story. And that's what I find really interesting about him. It's nice seeing someone with this conviction in a story that's not chopping and changing. He is overcoming the obstacles and coming through and showing that, I am this. But like I said, the strong cast of secondary characters is really a big part as well. Katara is one of my favourites. There's some really cool Dark Oath characters, some really cool, interesting other characters as well. And even, Held in a Fall's horse is a fun recurring character that I really liked following the sort of development of in the story as well. Even the adversaries are pretty interesting. There's definitely a couple of interesting adversaries throughout the story that make the story, continue to tick along. And there's characters that maybe, are bit part players as well that only sort of serve the purpose of moving the story along. Ones that, maybe only continue in the story for a little bit of an arc are really nice. But there's also some really cool little plot twists in there as well. I think definitely in the end of the story there's a really nice big plot twist and sort of reveal that I think is quite fun and interesting. And so, who would enjoy this book, though? Who would like this book? It's an interesting story because, like I said, it's not really a chaos book. Like, Held in a Fall is an interesting character. Chaos definitely has an influence over the story, but it's not like you're reading about, Nurgle-marked warriors going to war or something like that, like, say, in Plague Garden, where there's definitely, like, Nurgle chaos worshiping characters in the story. This is more about the influence chaos and indeed the gods like Sigma have over the mortal realms. And I think that sort of, leans a little bit differently on how you might enjoy this book. But for me, I think this was enjoyable. I think this is sort of the story that someone could pick up, have a nice, enjoyable read. It does sort of maybe have a little bit of an open ending of maybe we continue on, but it does sort of close off the story arc that it definitely starts to tell within this particular story, which is really fun. So there's definitely that. I think, a lot of people could get enjoyment out of this story. I thought it was a really fun story to listen to. And so, in summary, this is a really solid story. I think this is one of the better Age of Sigmar ones that have come out of recently. That's not to say I think Age of Sigmar lore and stories have been hitting it out of the park of late, but I definitely sort of probably sneak this into my top 5 of, the past few years. I think this was a really enjoyable story. It had good pace to it. There's a lot packed into it. Some really interesting side characters who I think could have their entire own stories written about them. There's a lot of interesting characters. And I think that, like I said, that is definitely a major strength of the book, is those characters around there. But I'd be really interested to sort of see if there is maybe another story of this down the line. I really enjoyed Held in the Fall quite a lot, but let us know if you have picked up Godeater's Son, if you enjoyed it, if you liked it, what you thought of it down in the comments below. I'd love to hear from everyone on your thoughts of this story. And so that's the end of the video. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed it, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And if you did enjoy the video and you want to say something, leave us a comment down below and let us know what you thought. If you'd like to come chat more with me and other members of our great little community here at Cinderful Gaming, we have a Discord server linked down in the video's description. Also down there in the video's description are the best ways to help support the channel if you'd like to do so. You can either grab yourself some merch via our Teespring or Ko-fi stores, which are linked down there, or our Patreon and YouTube members where you can help support the channel, get yourself a shout out, and indeed if you're a YouTube member as well, get yourself some cool emotes to use in our live discussions or indeed on your comments on YouTube. As a special thank you to all our Patreon and YouTube members, we'd like to give you all a shout out. So thank you to our Patreons, Christian Weir, Soren, Kenny Lau, Outer and Shot First, Andrew Bowen, The Rising 8, Q Dynamic, Anthony B, JJ Austrian, Average Wargaming, Domir, Mark Harvey, James Cater, Benjamin Swallows, Red Martin, Iron Grinch, Nicholas Conomos, Colorblind Magic, and Daniel Etherington. And to our YouTube members, Green Roots Gaming, Ronya, Lock Lorick, The Johnny84, David Ellsworth, Wolfric Nick, Broken Chef, Ariane Edwards, Revenar, Pink Nico Fire, Robin Mankiller, Monty's Tabletop Terrain, John Castle, Davis Weir, James South, James Tillman, and Dylan Areno. And lastly, a special thanks to Lady Witchfox Art, who does all the amazing artwork you see here for the channel, and to everyone who helps run our Discord server, all our mods, you're fantastic, and everyone who makes it a great place in there as well, and indeed to everyone who helps come and do the battle reports, and to all our sponsors on the channel as well. Thank you all once again for watching, everyone. Stay safe, stay well, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the Grey. Ciao for now.